Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a massive and honestly kind of silent shift in the world of artificial intelligence. We are uncovering the hidden signatures that are now being woven directly into AI-generated text. Specifically, we're looking at Anthropic's Claude and this whole sprawling new ecosystem of digital tools that are desperately trying to erase those signatures. I mean, if you use AI for work, for school, or even just messing around, the text you're getting back has fundamentally changed.
So, is your AI secretly signing its work? We're starting with a bit of a mystery that unfolded right in front of us. Because as of early August 2026, almost everything processed by Anthropic's Claude carries an invisible, entirely undetectable mark. It is sitting there right now in your emails, your essays, your code, but you just can't see it. So how did this happen, and what does it actually look like to the machines that are built to read it?
Part 1. The Invisible AI Signature. Let's get right into Anthropic's silent update and what it actually means for all of us everyday users.
Now, the sheer scale of this rollout is what's really fascinating here. Going back to August 2nd, 2026, this watermark has been woven imperceptibly into the wording of the text itself. It's not just some hidden character you can backspace over and delete. Plus, any supported file types get signed with C2PA metadata. And this isn't isolated to just the main Claude website either. It impacts everything. We're talking the Claude API, integrations on AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Foundry, the whole shebang. But here's the most absolutely crucial point you need to take away. It marks content that is processed by Claude, not just written by it. Meaning, if you feed your own original 100% human-written prose into Claude just for a quick grammar check or a summary, it comes back marked. Your original work is now carrying an AI signature.
Part 2. The Compliance Catalyst. Okay, so why the sudden, sweeping shift to watermarking AI text right now?
Well, 15 million. That number right there represents the 15 million euro penalty, or up to 3% of global turnover, that these AI companies are facing. This is totally enforceable under Article 50 of the EU AI Act, which, you guessed it, went into effect right as this update dropped. This massive financial threat is the primary driver forcing Anthropic, and for sure others very soon, into strict compliance. They aren't just adding invisible ink for the fun of it, they're doing it to stay in the European market without going completely bankrupt.
But beyond strict EU compliance, watermarking provides this really fascinating secondary benefit. It helps prevent a phenomenon called model collapse. You see, there's so much AI-generated content flooding the internet right now that future AI models are inevitably going to start ingesting it during their training. If an AI trains on too much of its own synthetic text, it starts to confuse concepts and the quality just degrades. As Professor Stephen Murdoch pointed out, watermarking helps ensure future AIs don't basically go insane from getting stuck in an endless loop of their own synthetic text.
Part 3. Does watermarking ruin quality? This brings us to a massively contested debate.
Because if the AI has to constantly adjust its output to weave in this invisible code, does that degrade the overall quality and precision of the writing? Well, to understand the mechanism, you really have to understand what we call stochastic choices. When an AI generates a sentence, it doesn't think like you or I do. It statistically flips a weighted coin to randomly select its next word based on probabilities. Like, it might randomly choose between the word gray or overcast, or decide to call running water a stream rather than a brook. Anthropic's new watermark works by slightly altering those random stochastic choices to create a statistical pattern that only they can decode.
So here we have John Gruber's argument on one side and Stephen Murdoch's on the other. Two completely different perspectives. Veteran tech blogger John Gruber calls this whole thing a perverse adulteration of what it means to write. He argues that by constraining those word choices, you're fundamentally limiting the AI. You're forcing it to make worse, less precise selections. But on the flip side, computer science professor Stephen Murdoch argues that randomness is absolutely essential to how large language models work anyway. He insists that while, sure, the random number generator is no longer perfectly random, it still remains statistically unpredictable, meaning the changes to the writing quality completely unnoticeable to the human eye.
Part 4. The Watermark Removal Boom. Look, regardless of whether the quality actually drops, users clearly wanted this signature gone immediately. In just a matter of days, a booming market for watermark removers exploded across the internet. A developer named Guillaume Mayer released an open-source MIT licensed tool on GitHub. It was simply called Watermarks Remover, and it went instantly viral. The project racked up over 4,500 stars, and his announcement surpassed 2 million views. That massive surge in interest completely opened the floodgates for copycats and commercial sites all claiming they could scrub Claude's watermark.
Suddenly, the web was just flooded with them. We saw sprawling open-source GitHub repos like Claude Watermark Cleaner and Remove AI Watermarks. Even the established commercial AI detection evaders jumped on the trend. Services like StealthGPT and Human Rights, which, by the way, explicitly advertises bypassing tools like Turnitin for academic essays, they all started boldly claiming they could strip Claude's new watermark clean off your documents.
Part 5. How removers actually work. Okay, let's pull back the curtain on these tools, because when you actually look at the underlying code, their bold claims don't exactly match the technical reality.
The watermarking, and therefore these removers, operate on two distinct layers, Layer A and Layer B. Layer A is all about hidden metadata. We're talking exotic spaces, zero-width characters, C2PA file data. Stripping Layer A is incredibly easy. It's literally just a simple deterministic script. But Layer B? That is the statistical token sampling watermark. That's the actual word choices we just talked about. Stripping Layer B is incredibly difficult, because the watermark is the text itself.
So, to actually pull off a true watermark removal pipeline, you need a 3-step process. Step 1 and 2, stripping the hidden characters and file metadata, that works perfectly. Honestly, anyone can do that. But removing the core layer B statistical mark in step 3, that requires drastically rewriting the prose entirely using a secondary AI model. You essentially have to destroy the statistical pattern by generating a brand new one.
And because rewriting is slow and expensive, many tools just skip it. They don't do it. Independent testing actually revealed that some popular web cleaners failed to remove the core payload at all. They clean up the easy Layer A metadata, proudly declare the text clean, but they leave that statistical watermark fully traceable. So you have users trusting these tools with sensitive documents, completely unaware that the invisible signature is still very much intact.
Part 6. The ultimate irony. Which brings us to the most ironic part of this entire watermark removal illusion.
Remember Guillaume Meyer, the developer of that massively popular open-source tool? He was actually unusually candid about this in his own documentation. He flat-out admitted that to actually remove the statistical mark, a rewrite swaps the original premium model's word choices for a cheaper model's word choices. Trying to remove that Layer B watermark is basically like using a sledgehammer to dust a priceless vase. You are fundamentally destroying the original prose in your attempt to clean it.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative question to take away from our explainer today. Why pay for a premium AI just to have a cheap AI rewrite it? I mean, if the only true way to erase an AI's invisible statistical signature is to heavily rewrite the text, why pay for the superior, highly precise writing of a premium model if your only way to hide the watermark is to run it right back through a cheaper, worse model? You're literally paying for quality only to actively destroy it. Really think about that the next time you're tempted to scrub an AI's invisible ink. Thanks for joining me for this explainer today, and keep questioning the technology you use.